It's day 8 of the hunt and starting the second half of the hunt. I am up on a ridge that kind of bisects the general area I've been hunting, about a 4 square mile area. Not many elk in here, but we've tried other areas that don't hold any more elk than this does. So what I've done this morning is come up on this ridge. This is where I was the night before last when we spotted the bull to the south. From here I can see to the south and to the north. It's the afternoon of day 9. I've hiked in about another half mile further than I've been the last few days to this little pond, and it is really little, drying up fast. It doesn't have any really fresh tracks on it, but it has a very hot day, and so I'm hoping if there's anything in the area, they'll come and get a drink. I'm setting up about 30 yards from it. Actually 30 yards from the trail that leads to it. And so hopefully some will come walking in and I'll get a shot. So it's kind of late in the day to build an adequate ground blind. So I'm just taking refuge behind some small pinon trees here. And hoping that if something walks in, it'll walk up the bottom. That's where the trail is, and I'll be able to see it right through this hole in the trees over here. Into the trail over there. It's the morning of day 10. I'm up on a ridge near camp that I've been on several times, glassing, mainly for my son. He came into camp last night and he's taking the route that I took last night. He sat on the water hole and nothing came in, sat there till dark, and then hiked out in the dark. So anyway, I've been able to glass for him. Haven't seen anything for him either. When he was driving in last night, he saw about 150 head in the adjoining unit on the other side of the road, but nothing in this unit. So continues to be a tough hunt. I'm gonna have to try to figure out where some elk are. Okay, it's the afternoon of day 10. My son and I didn't see anything this morning. I glassed high and he went to the tank I was at last night. And my brother-in-law and my nephew chased some elk all morning long. Got within 30 yards, just couldn't get a shot. And went back this afternoon, got into him again. And I heard him on the radio, pushed him over into the adjacent unit. My son and I came to the far end of the canyon near where we've been camped, at the end of the road, and there's another trick tank up here, and we have I put my trail camera on that trick tank and climbed to the top of the ridge, overlooking a huge amount of area, spotted some elk across the canyon, and just started videoing them. They're much too far, probably 3/4 of a mile away, across a deep canyon, and so won't be chasing them today, but something to know for the future. They're in a spot that's really hard to get to, but look like a pretty nice bull with them, and we might just need to figure out how to get in there. So anyway, encouraging to see something, and continue on. It's 9/11. I hope there's peace in the world. There is peace out here in elk country. It's beautiful, beautiful day, and trying to get to the elk that I saw yesterday, but it's not going to happen this morning. It's awfully tough going. I decided to come in from the north and try to side hill around to a saddle to get me into the basin that they're in, but the side hilling is really tough going. Here's the slope I'm on. It's as you can see, at least 45 degrees angle. There's the saddle that I'm aiming for, but very steep, still a long way away, and unfortunately that's about the best way in right now. There's just no easy way in there, or no easy way out if you got something. My brother-in-law and nephew are on the other side of this ridge. Can't really see it for the trees here, but got a radio call from them a while ago that they jumped a bunch of elk that headed this way. Thought they might come over the top. I haven't seen them and don't expect they will. It's going to be a sunny, steep slope, and they're going to try to avoid that this time of day, I think. So, but that's encouraging. Either more elk have moved in, or some of the ones we saw yesterday came over the top and were in the area where they were, where my brother-in-law was, but they may have pushed him back into that safety of that basin on the other side. My son counted 23 over there. He had a better view than I did. I just counted 3, got him on video. But there's elk in here, and we're seeing them, so that's encouraging, because that hasn't been the case lately. But how to get to them, very, very tough. No horses. And if it were earlier in the season, my son and I had planned to backpack in and spike camp somewhere, but my son's got to go back today. Could do it by myself, but not sure that I'm up to that task after wearing myself out for 11 days now, climbing these mountains. I'm not as young as I used to be. It's day 12 of our 2018 elk hunt. And I've got to be honest with you, the fatigue and the aches and the pains are beginning to accumulate. So it's taking more effort to push myself, but it's worth it when I get out here. It's just a beautiful morning. Yesterday I hunted in a big cut area that was across the ridge from where we'd seen some elk, but it was just too big a ridge to cross, and there was nothing to attract the elk in that area. The water holes are drying up quickly, and so probably won't be going back there. However, on top of that ridge, my brother-in-law and nephew have been getting into the elk on a regular basis, and just haven't been able to get a shot. Yesterday, my nephew tweaked his knee, so he's not pushing very hard. He's trying to rest up and get better, and he's sitting in water holes. It's about the best he can do. And yesterday morning, my son was up in this area, up on top of a ridge, and ran across some deer and elk. Came close, but didn't get a shot. He had to go back home and work, so his hunt is done. So I'm up where he was yesterday. I came up here yesterday evening, but the wind was swirling so bad there was no way that even if I saw something that I could get in on it. So this morning is much more steady wind, and I just haven't seen anything. I've seen a couple of mule deer, a little doe and a buck. So continuing to work out a ridge and glass and see if I can find something bedded down. Possibly those ones that were here yesterday, although they may have just been moving through. It's hard to tell. So, coming down to the end of the hunt, and I can feel it, but it's been fun. It's been a blast, as usual. Just love doing it. Watching her, watching me. It was day 13. This is our last day of the hunt. It's one more day of the season, but we have to go back a day early to get back to real life. So yesterday afternoon I didn't go out. My body needed a rest, and so just hung around camp. This morning came back to the ridge where I was yesterday, where my son had seen some elk a few days ago. And not too far into the hunt, I heard a bugle, which is one of the first ones I've heard this season, at least close by. Wasn't sure exactly where it came from, so I went in the direction I thought it was, set up and started cow calling, and eventually got an answer to a cow in heat type call. And so went again in that direction and kept calling, no more answers. So just kind of began to ease along, knowing that there was a bull around, could be anywhere. The wind was mostly in my face, but sometimes swirled. After probably an hour or so, I saw the bull probably 80 yards away, just walking fast away from me. I suspect he had heard me. So I cow called. It took a couple of times and he finally stopped and looked my way, but just for a split second, and then continued on. He was headed over into another canyon. So when he got into the trees at the top of the canyon, I boogied over to the edge of the canyon. My plan was to set up and call, to try to call him to me. Deployed my decoy, and but before I actually got to any kind of a setup, he had apparently stopped in the trees and had seen me, and so he switched directions and took off at a trot. And so now I just need to try to figure out which way he went, or where he might have gone to bed. There's supposed to be a water hole in here, not too far, so I need to see if I can locate that. And maybe he'll be watering there tonight. Maybe I can set up and wait for him, or run into him this morning. So finally some action on the last day of the hunt. Maybe we can turn it into some meat, not just action. Trying to figure out where the bull went. Came upon his tracks. I'm sure he is good, very fresh. Not sure how well the video's going to turn. was fencing in here, and I didn't hear him jump fence. So walking along the fence line, I did find his tracks. I just need to figure out where he went from here. So I followed the bull's tracks down the fence line for probably, I don't know, a third of a mile, and came to a point where animals had obviously been jumping across the fence. So I stopped to mark that on my GPS, and as I was doing that, the bull jumped up about 60 yards in front of me and jumped the fence and took off to the northwest. So I called, and he didn't respond, as he hasn't. And so I followed his tracks for a little ways, but it's difficult to follow his tracks. And so it's the heat of the day, it's almost 11. And he wasn't blasting out of there. I'm sure he probably heard me, because it's impossible to walk totally quietly unless you're just going extremely slow and not knowing where he was. That wasn't an option. So probably heard me, possibly even saw me. If he was bedded down in the shade and saw movement through the trees, he could have seen me, or he could have smelled me. The wind has been shifting around quite a bit. There's not a lot of wind, but it's not been consistent. So anyway, jumped him up, trying to decide what to do. I'd heard there's a water hole down here. Came down here where I thought it was, and there's no water hole. Then I looked on the map, and it's actually 2 cuts over. So need to formulate a plan for this afternoon if I'm going to go out at all. I wasn't planning to, but boy, now it's hard not to. So anyway, that's been my morning on the last day of our hunt. So this is the view from camp on our last evening. I didn't go out tonight. I got in late after chasing that bull around this morning, and we're leaving tomorrow, so I had a lot of stuff to do to get ready. But sure is a beautiful sunset. Nice way to cap off a fun hunt. It was day 14 of our 2018 Archery Elk hunt. I wasn't actually even planning on a hunt today, because we're leaving to go back home today. But got everything packed up and ready to go yesterday afternoon. So we decided to head out for a quick hunt this morning. Beautiful morning. Got up on the same ridge where I saw the bull yesterday. And it wasn't long until I got a really strong whiff of elk scent. So I just got an arrow ready and deployed my decoy, and just eased along and glassed ahead of me. And I would just get the smell every now and then. And finally I came upon a spot where the elk had bedded, and very strong smell there. So you never know when you smell something. Are you smelling the actual animal, or are you smelling the scent that they left previously? So I didn't find any elk. It's time to head back to the ATVs so we can finish packing up and head back home. It's been a great hunt. They're all great, even if you don't get a shot at an elk. And that's one thing that if I could pass on to anybody, that's what it is. Yeah, the elk is a bonus, but being out here chasing them around is that's where the fun is.